I just want to thank God for this. October 22nd, 2024. So I'm leaving this church that's about a few blocks from where I live and getting some food. They give food after their services end. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Why? Because you're beautiful. That's why. And I was nervous about coming because there's someone here that goes out of their way to not be respectful, to not be kind. I was like, oh, I gotta see him again. He actually gave me some meat. That was not pork. Because I told him a few times that I don't eat pork. Right? The Lord's got me going kosher, y'all. If I had my way, everything I would eat would be certified kosher. But can't do that. Like, chicken is kosher, but it has to be prepared in a certain way to be certified kosher. So I can't say that the meat I'm eating is certified, but at least it's chicken. It's not chicken. It's not pork. So he actually gave me meat, and he was, I guess, kind of decent. He wasn't too unfriendly. So I thank God that I came here. I know that destruction, okay, God's wrath is coming on this nation. I know that. There's stuff going on in this nation that's so abominable. And I know a lot of y'all, you think, oh, it's homosexuality. It's homosexuality. Homosexuality is just sin. If you read 1 Corinthians chapter 6, it puts homosexuality in the same category as swindlers, drunkards. It's just sin. All sin's going to send you to hell. But by abominable, and it says that you can be redeemed. It says, 1 Corinthians chapter 6 lists a group of people who were condemned. And then it says, but you, because he's now addressing the church, he said, such were some of you. Swindlers and homosexuals and drunkards. He says, but you have been redeemed. So clearly you can be redeemed. I'm not talking about redeemable sins, like two dudes or two women messing around, but it's consensual. I'm above all else talking about this child trafficking. We have such a massive problem in this country. And to say problem is an understatement. It is an abomination. These so-called elites, and it goes down, like if you listen to L.E. Carter, it's some of your trash men, some of your policemen, some of your garbage collectors, some of your teachers. It's not just wealthy people that are, I don't like to say participating in, because that almost airs a tint of legitimacy to it, but that are committing these crimes. And effectively, our government is the one responsible for this, and it's reached a fever pitch. I believe that one of their main sources of innocent children had, for decades upon decades and longer, been foster kids. They'd have these minor foster kids, and they would just say they ran away, and they would tell caseworkers to stop looking for them, and they'd never be seen again. Why? Because they were trafficking them through the foster care system. It's reached a fever pitch now because so many hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of unaccompanied minors have been sent to this country, that there's just all these precious children that to these devils are it's just like they're prey, and there's almost like an overabundance. So it's reached a fevered pitch in terms of just the number of lives that they're taking, sacrificing, and or abusing and committing abominations against. And so God's judgment's coming. So I tend to have the mindset of stock up, have a few months worth of food, so that if something should happen, because it's going to, the Lord already told me, you guys, all commerce, all supply chains, all travel, all mass transit, it will be stopped for a time. The Lord kept showing me this for months. I would ask the Lord, well, how long? How long? And what the Lord kept giving me was different combinations of 1, 2, and 3. He would give me 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. He kept giving me different combinations and then followed by the word months. So it's going to vary depending on what part of the nation you are in. And to the best of my judgment, I would say that this inability to get any kind of resources virtually is going to last between 1 to 3 months. So I tell people, if you're in a big city and you have lots of crimes and there have been riots in your city and stuff like that, you probably should have 3 months worth of food, because that's how long it's going to take before the commerce starts up again. It's going to take that long. If you're like in Cheyenne, for example, because so many of us, we think it might happen around the election. If Trump wins, most people in Cheyenne, I don't know the percentage, but they're not going to have an issue with it. If Trump were not to win, which he is going to be the president, the Lord said so, they're not going to have a tantrum. So probably Cheyenne would be like a month, even though I've saved up more than a month's worth of food, praise God's holy name. But I definitely recommend that folks save up at least 1 to 3 months of food, depending on where you're at. So coming back from this, they even gave me a thing of flour. It's like a 5-pound bag of flour, which is fine. I have a bunch of baking recipes. I have yeast, I have baking soda, baking powder. So I can make bread, because bread is something you're not going to be able to get a hold of when God's wrath falls on this nation. A lot of people are preparing because they think that there's going to be riots and there's going to be violence and mass civil unrest if Trump wins. And that may or may not be true. That probably is going to be true. But what iJwTtGfT prophesied, first he prophesied that Russia would invade the Ukraine. Then he prophesied that there would be mass violence, chaos, anarchy, civil unrest, and upheaval. He said so much so that our nation would look as though it were in a state of civil war from the outside. Then he said Bear Country would launch something on us that will result in a lot of people being unalived, no longer existing. So now some people are saying it's like going to be a third of our nation, or maybe even 2/3 of our nation, in terms of the number of people that are no longer going to be here. I do not know what those numbers are going to be. I do know because the Lord showed me, and he showed me every day for months, that we will indeed have mass violence, chaos, anarchy, civil unrest, and upheaval over many parts of the nation. The Lord first showed me this 4 years ago when I was in Los Angeles, and the Lord has given me multiple dreams after, and the Lord has given other people visions and dreams and prophetic words to that effect as well. And that's common. If you look at the destruction of Judah, most of the minor prophets, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, that's what they were prophesying about the destruction of Judah. God would tell people what's going to happen through many, many people, not just through one. And it took a long time. It took decades. iJwTtGfT prophesied about the invasion of Ukraine. He prophesied about that in the 90s, you guys. So it was like 30 years later before, or yeah, probably even more, because I think he first started prophesying this in the 80s. More than 30 years before Russia would actually invade the Ukraine. So they felt iJwTtGfT and his grandson, who interpreted for him for literally years, they were warning the nation, the church, to get their act together. And they said that in a way they felt that they had failed, because probably everybody thought they were crazy. Like, yeah, like, what's the Ukraine? But regardless, it happened. Because we now see that Russia done done did what they prophesied. So there's no doubt about that anymore. And then the rest of it, how long will it take? I don't know. The Lord gave me these visions of mass violence, chaos, anarchy, civil unrest, and upheaval literally 4 years ago. So I had assumed it was going to happen within a few weeks or maybe a few months. I thought it would have happened by now. And it hasn't. And a lot of people speculate that, well, you know, it'll happen probably around the time of the election. A lot of conservatives are assuming that liberals are going to be rising up and rioting if Trump wins. I don't know if that's true or not. It probably is. Liberals are like exceedingly self-righteous. So. But they're for a bunch of immoral, anti-biblical stuff, but they're very self-righteous about it. So, I'm trying to enter my room, so forgive me. I know that this